Morning, Anil ji.
Morning. I think it's
Still
almost
morning.
noon, huh? Almost noon, yeah.
Okay, so this is going to be fun. I think the topic IMI gave us was screens to streams, uh, and I thought, you're probably the biggest expert than most of us to speak on this. You've been a highly successful actor for 4 decades. You've been a producer. You're of course a father, a grandfather. I don't know how many people may know you've also been a singer. I think, and as we are sort of going through the transformation, you've seen the world of cinema. Um you've also seen the world of TV in an era where everybody wanted to go from TV to cinema. You actually took the bold step of making 24. Uh, one may argue much ahead of its time. As OTT came, you've also just done a highly successful show, Night Manager. So, in some ways, you've embraced changes ahead of its time. How have you seen this transformation from cinema to TV to now OTT?
Uh, it's a pleasure being here. Thank you, Rohit. Thank you, all of you all. Um, See, it's obviously for me, I started my career in 1979. If you say technically, with my first film released in 79. But otherwise, it was 1977 that I started shooting for that film. But before that, from the time I came into my senses, uh, my father was a, film producer. First, he was a kind of an agent, secretary. Then he became an assistant. Then became a producer. So from the time I came into my senses, I've been listening to, him. Uh, when he was doing Mughal-e-Azam, he was one of the assistants over there. And that film was in the making for 10 years. And the film, which was made almost more than 60 years back, still resonates and is one of my most favorite films. And I think it must be a favorite film too, a favorite film of quite a few of them sitting over here also. I'm sure if you've not seen it, you all must see that film called Mughal-e-Azam. So from there to then, I just wanted to be an actor. So initially, obviously, I'm talking about the transition you're talking about. Initially, obviously, I just wanted to work. I just wanted a job. So I was not, not really thinking I just wanted to be an actor. I just wanted to be in front of the camera. Because my father was a film producer, and I just felt being a producer and being in a kind of a so-called small entrepreneur was not my cup of tea. I just wanted to be an actor. I wanted to be in front of the camera, and so that someone employs me, and I do my best and give as an actor. And then the first decade was I couldn't make my choices. They chose me, and I started from bit roles, and did a Telugu film, Kannada film, and then I got a small film financed by the Bengal government, and ultimately, my first film was Wo Saat Din, which was the first film which really was 1983. And from 1983 to now 2000, almost 24, I've been a kind of a accessible, tradable, you know, sellable kind of a, celebrity actor, whatever you may call me, or a star, or whatever, the people and whatever the perception they have about me. So, 1983, I remember when the film was releasing, video was, becoming one of the biggest threats to the films. And I remember Nari Hira, from who is the editor and publisher and the owner of Stardust, had a video company, and then we were all worried कि अभी वो सात दिन लग रही है, ये पिक्चर थिएटर में कौन जाके देखेगा, वीडियो आ जाएंगे इसके. तो मैं पहुंच गया अपना नारी हीरा के ऑफिस और मैंने अपना परफॉर्मेंस शुरू कर दी. भैया मैं तो आप कीजिए इसको, ये वीडियो को डिले कीजिए. अगर ये immediately if you release the video, nobody's going to go to the theater, you know. And obviously he delayed it for 1 or 2 weeks, whatever he could in his power and business point of view, whatever he could do. And the film released and became fairly successful. And I was, you know, it helped to start now making choices. Not that they were not, you know, but I could say, यार ये film करूँगा, ये नहीं करूँगा, इसके साथ काम करना, उसके साथ काम करना. And then came Mr. India. I remember Mr. India के वक्त भी there was piracy was at its peak. So I went to Delhi and and I just knew one minister in I don't know which. He was a minister for, I can't remember because it's so many years back. But I remember that someone had told me, some friend, some relative, and someone had told me they are इनकी election में चले जाना. तो मैं चला गया था. Not because I believe in, I've always been an actor, never really politically been, you know, I just want to be an actor, not I believe in everybody who works hard, you know. He might be from any party. So I felt he's a nice guy, so I went there. So I said, इनको मैं जानता हूँ, तो उनके पास गया, आप, if you can stop the piracy of Mr. India. So these kind of phases have always happened, you know, for so many years, where you feel the threat of some technology which is, you know, which is at that time peaking. And then, of course, television also was, during that time, was becoming more and more popular. And I remember Rabanand Sagar's Ramayan, which released, and the entire country used to come to a standstill. Completely on a standstill. If the whole country would watch it. And nobody go to the theaters, you know. So these kind of things kept on running, but everyone, and I feel that just everything really survived. And technology kept on improving. And now we come to your question of OTT. And I think which is, when I did 24, obviously OTT wasn't there. So when I got the, you know, got the rights of adapting it in for Hindi, because I'd done it in internationally. So when I was shooting in Los Angeles for the show, and every time the script came to me, and when I saw the way they were shooting it, and I'd done Slumdog Millionaire before that, and I did 24 after that. When I went there, I said, they're shooting it, you know, it's like a film. There are more than 350, 400 people in the unit. There are, you know, the best of technicians, the best of actors. And it's like, it looked as if I'm doing a much bigger venture than Slumdog Millionaire. So I realized, yeah, television में भी यहाँ उसी commitment से और उसी the scale, the hard work and the detailing of the production design, the sound, everything is more than a film. So I said, why can't we do it in India? Television was there, but television, yeah, basically it was all about daily soaps and, you know, jaldi jaldi karo, khatam karo, you know, except for a few filmmakers. Otherwise, overall television was not really, stars would not, it was in a way that जिनको फिल्मों में काम नहीं मिलता वो टेलीविजन में काम करते, you know, it was that kind of stuff. And filmmakers, writers, directors, कि यार अभी फिल्मों में तो हो नहीं रहा है तो चलो टेलीविजन करते हैं. Then I got the rights over here, and I went to every platform and I tried to pitch it. And surprisingly, nobody was really, I said, why have you bought the rights? You know, I said, we never buy rights. We just copy it, you know. I said, what do you mean? मतलब मैं बंगला बनाना चाहता हूँ और मैं ज़मीन ही नहीं खरीदूँ, किसी और की ज़मीन है और मैं ऐसे ही बंगला बना दूँ, ऐसे थोड़ी चलेगा. जिसकी ज़मीन है उसको he has to get the credit, he has to get the money because the original idea is theirs and I am adapting it. So I took time for me to really convince these people to really, okay, this is the kind of money I'm going to pay. I said, why are you paying? I was shocked. I said, no, nothing doing. This is the way it is going to be. This is going to be the adaptation. And then I convinced one of the platforms, and the show was, you know, accepted, appreciated. We won. I think we swept each and every award possible in India for television show, and then of course, as usual, it happened that after the first season, they say, नहीं वो TRP जो है वो soaps की तरह इसकी TRP नहीं है. TRP is not as good, you know. So sometimes what happens is when you're slightly, I feel you're doing something which is slightly ahead of times, in a way, not ahead of times where the world is concerned, but India. So you have a little problems. But I was very, very passionate, very committed to it. And that's what I've done in my career, always. That I've done things which I instinctively feel that I should do it, not really following the trend. And this is the trend. नहीं, मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि instinctively this is the right thing to do. This is great storytelling. And I go for it. And that's the way I've done 24, which is almost more than 10 years back, decade back. And then I've done Night Manager. There were a lot of other shows also which were offered. And then suddenly everybody said that, you know, we want to do a show. We want to do something like 24, you know. And suddenly that became a kind of a reference point for everybody. But when I was doing it, I had a lot of, it was very tough for me to make that show. And then again, Night Manager was an adaptation, and they had bought the rights. The same people had bought the rights who had asked me not to buy the rights. Why are you buying the rights? And they had bought the rights, and I think they had paid more than what I had paid. So how things change, and now everything is done. I think we are doing something together, which is hopefully will be something as exciting as 24 and Night Manager. Do you want to say anything? I've said my take on my journey of technology changing, and then going with my gut, going with my instinct, and having the right people around you also makes a lot of difference. Who are the people around you, your team, and who backs you, who gives you the right advice, and doesn't misguide you. अरे मत करना यार, कुछ फर्क नहीं पड़ता है. You know, copy कर लेते हैं यार, without rights कर लेते हैं. That's not the way. For long run, this is not the way to do business. This is not the way. If you want to stay relevant and to stay, you know, and now that you know people call you to speak about it, that means you have to everything has to be done very ethically, very honestly, and everybody should get the due. And you should be fair. Being fair in business, I think, and in creativity also is the key. This is my take on whatever you asked me. Yeah.
No, I think what you've done at some level has been, you've always defied, I think, the odds of the market norms, so to say. On a smaller note, I remember even when your Wo Saath Din came, that was also the era where all the there were no moochwala actor, right? And you know, you had Dharmender and Jitendra and all those actors, and you've obviously defied that. In some ways, you were also the first actor with a beard. आज I think शायद सारे हीरो का beard होता है आज movies में.
Yeah, because वो was जब वो वक्त था जब बड़े-बड़े filmmakers ने they had given statements in and said कि मूछे वाले actor कभी successful नहीं होते. And you know, because mostly most of the successful stars and actors are without the mustache. And then I was cocky at that time, so I would say Charlie Chaplin, Raj Kapoor, Clark Gable, all these guys, all these great actors have been with the mustache. And then of course you were about the stubble part of it. Stubble became so people would identify me with the stubble because I started the stubble not because I just felt, because I wanted to do those kind of roles which were the macho roles, which are the alpha Romeo kind of, not Romeo, alpha male kind of roles, which now has become very popular after Animal. But I was doing those kind of, those roles I wanted to do. And I had a very, people felt that I have a very small and a very baby face. So I had this stubble for everything. So if there's a action film, I would have a stubble. Romantic film, I would have an a stubble. Mystery India, I had a stubble. I'm playing a lawyer, I had a stubble. So that became, and I used to have this beard. And I remember senior actors who were very, very close to me. They said, "तेरे पास काम वाम नहीं है क्या? दाढ़ी उगा के घूम रहा है." और आज हर एक्टर दाढ़ी के साथ है. तो ऐसा लग रहा है सबके पास काम नहीं है.
But I think coming back to our role, Anil, I think on this question, I think from our point of view as OTT, I feel हमारा काम काफ़ी simple है. All we've been trying to do over the decades is solve for reach and access. Content making, content narration in this country is thousands of years old, right? We had Natak Mandlis, we had Nukkards. I think what cinema did was brought it in a large format to a certain geography. And then TV came, and TV took it to a larger audience. TV was still, I think, largely still segmented by languages to some extent. And I remember TV really started in in India around early 80s, around Asian Games. In I think 82 or 83, I think उस time में शायद 2 या 3 करोड़ लोगों को access था TV का. And then I spent a lot of time in cable and DTH because that was the new technology at that time that took it from Doordarshan days ahead. And I think that technology helped us take it to 15, 16 crore homes. And OTT is helping us further now. मेरा मानना है OTT is today, at least 65, 70 crore people are connected in this country real time to content in different forms. So, and whether it's content or gaming companies or food companies or ticketing companies, at some level, I feel we're all solving for access and sort of easier storytelling for consumers to make choices. Defining the jobs odds is, I think, a little more trickier job that you do, and that's why you're the superstar for the last 4 decades. But in that sense, I think I feel our task is a little more straightforward, cut out. Sometimes you get a little lost in this whole transformation and kuch major ho raha hai. I feel it's a continuation of an exercise and an era.
Well, my first job was for Doordarshan. My first paycheck was from Doordarshan, 250 rupees. I went to, there was a Doordarshan office in Worli. I remember traveling there by bus and going there and performing for Doordarshan. And the first, I think, popular film thing was Chaya Geet, where songs were shown. And that became very, very popular. So that was the news. People would watch news and then the Chai Geet started.
Chitrahar,
Chai Geet, all those kind of things and all. Obviously, radio was huge. God bless his soul, Abhin Sahni Sahab, who left us. But I remember meeting him and we would promote our films and would bank mostly on radio. And Bina Ka Geet Mala mein agar wo, अगर वो गाना आ जाए और फर्स्ट आ जाए तो that would really help us promote. So I've gone through, I've been very fortunate from, last so many years that I've been, and, met all the greats of radio and then Doordarshan. I did my first interview with Tabassum ji for Phool Khile Hain Gulshan Gulshan. That show was so popular that we titled one of our films called Phool Khile Hain Gulshan Gulshan. The title of the film was Phool Khile Hain Gulshan Gulshan. So, and then, how it is. So I've been very fortunate in that way in terms of knowing all these people, working with them, meeting all the greats, and seeing them in flesh and blood. I've been very fortunate that, from Rafi Saab to Kishore Kumar to the, and then the next generation of singers, I have the, good fortune that I've done their, they've sung for me and made me what I am today because I was only lip syncing, but it was their magical voice. And so, so on and so forth. And of course, as you said, that whatever digital technology is, it's actually what we're trying to do is to reach out to people and help, and it might be films, it might be anything, whatever you want to reach out to the consumers. It's about storytelling. It's how you connect, how you get people emotionally and in a way attract them to come in so that they get attracted, and how you market it, how you hype it, how you do it. But ultimately, I think you have to do it in a very, very honest, very pure, very, no matter what it is, you have to do it uh, in a very sincere and true and real way. And that always connects, I feel, you know. This is what I feel. Very, very. This has been whatever experience I have and whatever I've seen, what I've gone through in my career, and I've seen other people's careers also, because I do not only see my career, but always look up to people in every field. It might be sports, it might be business, it might be politics, it might be entrepreneurs. I just keep on reading, watching, looking at them, and how and what they have done to achieve what they have done. And I'm still a student. I'm still learning, and that's what I feel.
On that adoption of technology, and you've always imbibed it proactively. I want to touch upon social media, because social media is becoming a great tool for us as platforms. How do you keep that real? Uh, is there sometimes one feels, is there too much over? How much use is overused? How do you keep it real? In some ways, also, I feel, was there a mystique to actors earlier? Um, and with social media, when you feel like you can see your actor every day, uh, you can literally follow them changing new clothes every day. And does that take away the mystique? And in some sense, with Mr. Bachchan, yourself, Shah Rukh, is that the last of the superstars with social media? So how do you balance it so that it's helping? And I say this because I think viewers very keenly follow your social media. You know, your fitness, your routine, everything that you do.
I think it's a tool. I feel there are plus points and minus points, and you should know when to use it and when not to use it. That's the key. You see, I was just listening to Denzel Washington, and he said a very good thing. There were a time when if someone had to like you, it was very much in person. Like, I want you to like me, or I want over here all the you know sitting on the esteemed guests over here, I want them to like me. That's it. But now on social media, you want 18 million or 10 million people to like you, and which are faceless. At least I can see a lot of faces here. I can see someone listening, someone on the phone, someone, kind of a thing. But at least I can see them, and I want to connect with them. I want them to like me. But when it becomes trying to, you know, uh, people who are completely, you don't know them, and the without really doing anything, you want people to like you, and it's doesn't have that. You should have something to give, then only it has an impact. You have nothing to give and you're just using social media, it becomes like an addiction. That's very, 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 it's not correct. I think that will take away. And of course, giving time, of course, you have to switch off. Okay, when do you switch off? It's tough, but that's the way. You have to use it correctly. And actors, there are certain actors who are using social media for, if they want, not only to, they're not doing it to project themselves as stars or as what they are doing, but sometimes to, if they believe in some, which is very, some, which is a social cause which they are very close to. It might be environment, it might be health, it might be fitness, it might be anything which they really believe in, which they believe in. They use the social platform and they use it correctly. And otherwise, we sometimes it becomes helpful for us when our film is releasing or something we have to promote. It becomes easier. But I think anything overkill is not good in terms of consumption also, and use it. You have to use it correctly, and you should know when to stop it. I think that's the key of it. So there are advantages, a lot of advantages, for a lot of people, for newcomers, for young entrepreneurs, business people, how do they reach out? And digital is the future, you know. You know it, we know it. It is the future. Then how do we uh, make content which connects? So the intent in that also has to be, it has to be very honest and very pure. And and um, and I feel less is always more. Less is always more. And you should know when and how to use it, and you will see it. That sometimes it just doesn't have. It has a negative impact. You know, and sometimes it has a positive impact. So it's your instinct, your sensibility, how you use social media.
On which note I want to ask, I think touch upon a topic I feel, I'm guessing there are a lot of founders, startup executives here. I think one of the challenges I certainly face sometime, and I don't know whether I do a good job of balancing or not, but with technology, in some ways, work has also become 7 by 24, right? And we work very closely over the last couple of years. The energy that you have, and to keep it going for decades and decades. What do you do to balance it? You know, do you switch off at some point in the day? How do you balance it with things outside of your work? Um, and something that all of us could take away a little bit in terms of just prioritizing, balancing, because today I think most of the people, the first thing that they wake up, they'll probably check their phone, their WhatsApp messages, their emails. The moment you read the email, your mind starts working already on the reply. You've hardly half awake, but your mind is already back to work. Um, and I don't know how that routine is sustainable if one has to replicate, the sort of path that you followed.
Well, I obviously, it's a work in progress where I'm concerned. So every decade, things kept on changing. How I keep myself sane, how I keep myself normal, how I keep myself fit, how I feel I have the hunger to work and do my best. So that every decade, it kept on changing. When I started my career, what I used to do. Then after 10 years, after 20 years, after 30 years, when I was in my 40s, when I was in my 50s, now I'm almost in my late 60s. So it keeps on changing. And if you want to know which decade you are talking about, this decade now, when the social media and all those stresses and all
And
the it's becoming.
having seen you up and close, I think all decades are relevant. Your energy levels today are as higher than a 20-year-old. So you can pick any decade that you want. You'll still be an example to
There are a
all
lot
age
of
groups.
there are a lot of people who have which I take away from them is like you have your body is like a car, like you treat it like a car. You buy a car, sometimes you're lucky to get a good car. Sometimes the best of cars you're not lucky. So that and then you feel blessed in the morning that you've woken up in the morning that yes, I'm a good car. Yeah, at least I have no problems. I'm still breathing. So how do I look after it? There are so many people who have, cars which are 60 and 50 years old, but they really look after it. They polish it, they use the right petrol, they look after it, they cover it, they don't overuse it. And still they are speaking, and why do you call it? I said, they have these vintage shows. There are cars which are almost 70, 80, 90 years old and they still look so good. There's something they've done right. Am I right? So that's what you do. You have 24 hours in your, and God has given you this body, this mind, and given you this power of so many things to think, to express. You have given you the tongue for the taste and everything, and so you have 24 hours to do so many things which give you so much of joy. So why can't, and the body which gives you so much of joy. So your mind and your body, why can't you give at least an hour and a half to that body and mind, which is going to give you so much of pleasure throughout the day in 24 hours. 22 घंटे आपको नींद भी मिल रही है, आप खाना भी खा रहे हैं, आप इंजॉय भी कर रहे हैं, आप काम भी कर रहे हैं, इस बॉडी के साथ, इस माइंड के साथ, आप 2 घंटा उसको नहीं दे सकते जो बॉडी आपको कितना इतना कुछ दे रही है. सो दैट्स माई way of looking at it. I said, I want to keep this fit enough. My eyes, my everything. I should feel good about myself. And the more, and somewhere you should be sometimes looking after yourself more than anything else. Because if you look after yourself, you feel good about yourself, then you'll be good to your family. You'll be able to solve their problems. You'll be good to your team. You'll be good in the office who are there, who are looking up to you. And if you're feeling fresh and fit, you can give more. And that's what I believe in. And that's what I've done. And sleep. If you work hard, if you're tired, then only you'll get sleep. आप कुछ कर ही नहीं रहे, सिर्फ खा रहे हो, बैठ रहे हो, तो कहाँ नींद आएगी आपको? You have to exhaust yourself. You should fall dead by the night and just hit the sack and go to sleep, because your works, not only you worked hard, but you worked on yourself and you worked on your body, and you played and you should. And my thing is, besides, there are so many ways to keep yourself fresh. Some people can just walk for an hour. Some people can run. You can do weights. You can do functional. You can do yoga. If you can add a sport to your entire daily exercise, is the best thing you can do, because sport is something which can really de-stress you, because that's the only time where, even when you're doing weights or walking or running or doing any kind of functional, still your mind is still, to all the things which are there in your mind about family, work, business, career, everything. But when you're playing a sport, that's the best time you can really de-stress, because you're feeling so competitive. And that's time you don't think about anything else. And then after that, you can go back and do so many things. If you play it in the morning, great. Sometimes you can play in the evening also. Any sport. So if you can include that sport. And I have noticed one thing, the busier you are, those are the people who are most accessible and have all the time in the world. मैं जितने भी लोगों को मिला पूरी दुनिया में, and I have met the best of best, and I feel they have all the time in the world for everything. So how you find time for everything, and you have to find time for your mind and your body, and and the body and mind. If you have found that time and you work, that means, and that needs sleep also. So these are the three factors. And of course, food is the key. You have to have a certain kind of control, and you should listen to your body and not listen to because the food is to keep your body going, your mind going, not to really, it's not about just taste and enjoyment, Sometimes it's fine, but not every day, every meal. It doesn't work. And it's all about intake and outtake, if you have, and if one day you indulge, then second day you have to work it out and keep your balance, your fixed deposit, which is the calories which you burn, that's like the fixed deposit. So if you have you've eaten a lot of calories, then you should have so much in your fixed deposit, where you're burned, so the balance is always there. And I believe in very, very strongly is I have to earn the meal. I have to earn my meal. I believe in that. That's what I have done. If I have to eat a good meal, I should earn it. Earn it, like I have to really work, thrash my body and feel so hungry that I feel, यार मैं इतनी मेहनत की है अपने काम में, अपने फैमिली के साथ, अपने बॉडी के साथ, अर्जी के साथ, no, I deserve this meal. I have to earn it. I feel it's not, so that's what I do. Intake, outtake, earning my meal. These are the things which I can quickly tell you all. I don't know. I hope you all understand what I'm saying.
I think I just want to touch upon one last topic. I know we were given half an hour. I do want to leave some time. I'm sure audiences will have a lot of questions they might want to ask you, but I want to get your take on this whole South versus Hindi debate. That's, as OTT, we of course find it very childish and unfounded. And I'll sort of share my take later, but I think it'll be interesting to hear your views about this whole South versus Hindi.
South, I'm sitting here because of South. I have done all my successful films. Wo Saat Din was a South remake. My foundation was laid of discipline, of professionalism, of being committed to whatever you do. The timings of whenever you have given, if it's a 7 o'clock shift, you're up by 5 and you finish everything and you're there ready at 7. If you want a sunrise shot at 5 o'clock, 5:30, you're ready there. So this is a kind of discipline, professionalism which is there in South, which I imbibe because my first films were, one was in Telugu, one was in Kannada. And then of course all the adaptations which I've done, Beta, Judai, Wo Saat Din, Mohabbat, Nayak, they're all South Indian remakes. And I think all the greats, Indian great actors also have done all their most successful films have been South Indian. Might be Dilip Kumar's, if I can remember, Ram Aur Shyam was a adaptation. So many of Jitinder's films, Rajendra Kumar's films, and all the Shami Kapoor and
Salman.
Salman, of course, yeah. Matter of fact, he was going through a low patch and then
Wanted.
Wanted came. That was an adaptation, complete adaptation, which brought him back. So South has always been, there. And then sometimes so happens is the debate now because people love, because of the media, social media and all. So it comes in the forefront. There were times when people were looking up to all the filmmakers from Bengal. There was Satyajit Ray, there was Ritvik Ghatak, there was Tarun Majumdar,
Singers.
and, singers Kishore Da, Uttam Kumar, Suchitra Sen, so many of the greats we all used to look up to. And matter the film industry really started from Calcutta and came to Mumbai, and then South. When I was in South, I remember shooting in South, and they would look for some films, great good stories made in Bengal, made in Calcutta. Like Sahib was a adaptation of a Bengali film which was made in Hindi, then made in Telugu, and then made in Kannada and Malayalam. It was made. So these things have always happened. And sometimes what happens is the debate now which has started because there were few filmmakers and few films which came and became really successful, like Bahubali and RRR and KGF and Pushpa. So it happened. So sometimes these things happen. I remember Ek Duje Ke Liye when it released, and Kamal Hassan took Hindi film industry by storm. The film became massive hit. I remember even Raj Kapoor Saab, who's always made films with his children, was making a film with Kamal Hassan. He wanted to make the film which ultimately I did, Swati Mutyam, which was also again an adaptation, which was called Ishwar. But he was wanting to make Ishwar. Raj Kapoor himself was producing it. K. Vishwanath was directing it. And Kamal Hassan was acting in it. The deal, fortunately for me, didn't work out. So I don't know the reason. And ultimately I did the film, Ishwar, which is one of my films which people really still, one of my most favorite films. So these things keep on happening. There will be times when all of a sudden there are so many phenomenal filmmakers from Mumbai, from the Indian Hindi film industry, and there are 5, 6, 8 of them. They're making such fantastic films, and you feel everybody's inspired and motivated by the Hindi films. And it has happened earlier also with Mani Ratnam Saab, when Roja and Bombay released. All of us were all the filmmakers I remember were inspired and motivated with his storytelling. So these things keep on happening. They are inspired sometimes we are inspired, sometimes there are great filmmakers here, sometimes there are great actors over here, great stars, and there are certain great stars and great actors over there who are doing so. And so basically they're all Indian films. So I've seen it all. So I feel this is an unnecessary debate.
No, I agree. But I feel that I think this is an area where we as founders, executives of digital companies have also contributed a lot. I think what's happened over the last 4, 5 years, data is showing us that consumers today are watching content in more languages than ever before. I think on average, my guess is everybody sitting here is watching content in at least 3 to 4 languages. And what that's done is there was always talent in every part of India. You name so many of these stories. There was whether it's Bengal, South, Malayalam cinema did not become great overnight. They always had great stories.
Yeah, the first 3D film was made in Malayalam,
Chetan, Chetan.
Chota Chetan, from Malayalam. It was a,
But I think OTT is given access to consumers, and for first time, I feel, in some sense, India is becoming one market, and we're seeing results of that in box office.
yeah.
Because now we are watching movies as Indian movies. Who knows? Karma today would have done 1,000 crores. You know, because the box office potential is not limited now to Hindi-speaking belt or the Telugu belt or the Tamil belt anymore. Audiences are enjoying watching movies of any language in India today.
Absolutely, and I think one of the reasons why even because I heard that the consumption of on television is a lot of South Indian films. People just love watching all these action films and masala films. That people just love it. They just love it, and that's one of the reasons that these films when they release that when they and these especially these larger than life action films and the heroism came back in a big way, and people wanted the leading men to be like heroes, and it's always been there. It's like the trend keeps on changing. There was a time when we were catering more to the NRI audience and making those kind of films, like which Karan and Adi and Suraj made, and suddenly the trend changed, and I remember. So I've gone through all those changes. बोले ये क्या हो गया यार? चलो, let me do हम आपके दिल में रहते हैं and हमारा दिल आपके पास है. So I would then, you have to keep on, listening to the content, and you feel like, okay, I suit this role. I can't do exactly what they're doing, but at least I'll do it in my own way. These kind of films. So, and then that's what I think. Phases keep on. Next time when we are sitting over here, there'll be some other thing which there'll be some other debate which will going on.